Okay, so I think we still have 20 students to join, so we will wait for 2 more minutes. Okay, let's begin. So last time we talked about the BGP, and we know that there's a lot of protocols, policies, right? So that between peering basically is a relationship that you don't really need to pay each other, but you serve each other. Right? But if you want to serve a third party, probably the peering, you know, two peers will not help each other to relay to the third party. So we need another higher level service provider. Okay, and then we look at the BGP, right? So we took a look at the, you know, basically the stable path problem, SPP. Okay, if you still remember this, and we say that because your path, whether it can go through if you go to 2, right? Whether 2's path is still valid or not. Okay, so if 2's path is still valid, then you can go through that. If not, you have to go to the next in your list. And this kind of requirement, that is, everyone has its own objective, right? So, and you don't know what the other party's objective is, cause a lot of stability issue, right? So it can never converge, it can diverge, basically. So basically, we have 3 like areas, right? So one is if your initial setting with those plans, right? With those, I mean the path, preferred passes, right? So it's path given a particular scenario, let's say this scenario, it will converge. Okay. Some other cases it will diverge. Some other cases in the middle, depending on when each each node will update its path, right? So sometimes it will converge, sometimes it will diverge. It depends on dynamics. Okay. And we do need here we talked about we do need the backup policies because if we don't have 420, 430, if this link is down, there's nothing to go to. Right? But if you have a 420, then probably it can deviate to 2, and then if this is down, then it can go to 3, then it can go. Okay. Otherwise, it cannot recover from this link failure from 40. This is what we call BGP is not robust. Okay. And so here we took a look at an example where, if you choose, 1-0, that's fine. But if you choose the other path, this part will be diverged, right? It will go on forever. Okay, it's no longer stable. So, and so can BGP be fixed? The answer is no, right? Because SPP, stable path problem, isn't P-complete. Okay, it's very difficult. And we talked about a few solutions that you can probably mitigate the problem, but they are complementary. Okay, so. And so then we move forward to the next generation routing, right? So so before we talk about the new improvement, we need to understand that the BGP protocol, right? So what are the weaknesses and what are the features? Okay, because it's a path vector protocol. It's very similar to the distance vector protocol, which means bad message goes slow, right? So and a good message goes fast. Okay, so so there's a conventional wisdom that people think, BGP is okay, right? Because it does not have this slow convergence problem of RIP, and it can restore a path. Let's say if your original path is down, you take a secondary path, which is a little bit slower. But this path restoration, hopefully it can be done in seconds, but actually it can take tens of minutes. We'll see later. Okay, and the failover, internet failover, right, will improve if you have faster routes and fast links. But actually, we will show that this actually is still very slow, even if you have multi-homing, right? You have multiple connections, services you can go reroute to. So the failover means it's different from failure, right? Failover means if you have a primary service, right, and you have a secondary service, okay, and this is done, then you can fail over to the, okay, it's a little bit slower, but it's robust at least, okay, and so this is the same, right? So people think that if you have more connections, right, you have 2 secondary backups, maybe it will improve for torrents, right? So the answer is actually not really the case. Okay, it will not improve. It can even be slower sometimes. Okay, so here I think the last time we took a look at the scenario. Basically, you have a backup ISP. You have home 1, home 2, right? So this is multi-homing, and now this is done, and you want the traffic to go through this backup ISP to reach. Okay, and so there's some bad news. Okay, so without constrained policies, it will diverge. Okay, but with constrained policy, it can still take a very long time. Right? So we will focus on the constrained policy, which is by this study, which takes 16 months of study about the convergence. Okay, they're using the active ICMP messages measurements. Okay, and what they do is they just pretend they are AS and they have some BGP faults to those upstream ISPs. So this is no longer okay. Can we go through this service provider? Right? How long it will fail over from maybe this path to somewhere like this path? Okay, or something like this. But I think we can just quickly look at the conclusion. Right? To understand the conclusion, let's look at some variables that really help you understand what we are talking about. Right? So first, the T is time. Okay, time to up. Up means you have a new route. Right? So previously these are not connected. Now you have a new route. Okay. T down is route withdrawn, right? And it's single home failure, which means, hey, if this route is withdrawn, right? If this is withdrawn, okay. Let's use another. This is withdrawn, but you don't have another home, basically, right? You can connect to another service provider. This service provider is down, okay? Then it's withdrawn, okay? There's no recovery, okay? So that's the concept. And the other 2 times, one is called T short. Short means at the shorter and better ES path. This can happen because, for example, originally you fell over to here, right? It's a slower, okay? But now this is recovered, right? So how long you will go back to the faster one? Okay, so this is at the shorter, better. This is a primary path recovered, right? This is a primary path. I see a chat. Just also, so for the textbook, I'm not sure whether there's a detailed explanation on BGP. Most of these things are very succinct. But let me look into it and recommend some chapters. You can send me email, okay? But the slides should be good enough. As long as you understand the slide, these key concepts, that should be fine. Okay, our final exam will ask you those concepts. Okay, for the Bellman Ford, right? So the RIP and the OSPF, I think the textbook has a detailed explanation, and you do need to know these. Okay, maybe in the final exam we will have a question asking you to do a Dijkstra algorithm. Right? So basically, it's a link state. Right. So we have a new scenario, just like in our slide, and how you can find the short path, right, step by step. Okay, and build a short path tree. Okay, that we will need. But for BGP, mainly the concepts are important. Okay, so as long as you understand what we are covering here, we will not have a lot of calculation in those kinds of things. Right. Another is another is T-long. Right. T-long is advertised a longer or worse is path, which means if your primary path faults, right? This is, but you are not single home. Okay, you have another home here, right? Then you can go through here, right, to the destination. Right? So then this is called a go to a worse path, right? Because it's slower, but because this is down, you have nothing to, no way to handle. Okay, so these are the 4 times correspond to these 4 scenarios. Okay, and we are looking at what time correspond to what scenario. Right? So here it says, hey, you only have one home, right? So you have one service provider. Okay, right? In that case, if it's up, then you are connected. If it's down, you are disconnected. Right? But here we say we are multi-home, right? So then you can go back to the secondary one if this is down, and when this is back, you can come back. Okay, right? So from this aspect, actually T up is very similar to T short, right? This is hey, you find a faster path, right? It's primary path recovery. Okay, another is hey, you have a new nick established. Okay, these two are very similar, right? And these two are very similar. So your primary path has faults, right? This is hey, now you are disconnected. Okay, because it's single thing. Here you have another path, right? So you go to the worst path. So these two, T down and T long, are very similar. T up and T short are very similar. Okay. And so the results from that study, right, 16 months of study, here are the major convergence results, right? So firstly, sorry, let me see. First, the routing convergence requires an order of magnitude longer than what people originally expected, right? So some can take tens of minutes, right? So you want to definitely recover within 1 minute, but it can take tens of minutes just to recover, okay? And so or fail over, okay? So and the route converge more quickly if you use remember we talked about T up T and repair, right? And the down failure, right? So this is good news, okay? The good news propagates faster, right? And this is bad news, propagates slower because this is a path vector. It's very similar to distance vector. So if you have T down, T failure, some weights are improved or even to infinity because it's disconnected. So this information will converge very slowly. And we see an example earlier in the previous slide. Okay. So bad news travels slower. Okay. And another is, so withdrawal. Okay. So withdrawal generates several more announcements than new routes are. So we will see why this is happening, okay, in the next 2 slides. But here you keep in mind, right? So, withdrawal down, okay, and the failure, these bad news are worse, okay? So they will send more announcements than TR, which is clear, right? So let's see why this will happen, okay? So here's an example of the, the BGP log. This is the log that's happening, a record what the BGP message has been sent, okay? So you can see that, so there's a, route failures were drawn by a AS, right, 21, 29, okay? And then because this router is, for example, here we are 17, okay? This is 17, but your destination, right, this is down, okay? You cannot say, I want to still take this route because if you take this route, continue to go elsewhere, this is not reachable, right? And also, more important, some people may rely on you to reach here, right? So this route, you cannot take anymore. You need to announce, which means this guy will know it and then need to continue propagate and change the route. Okay, so that's the idea. So it will announce, hey, this, remember this is a path vector, right? So path vector protocol, BGP. So this is one path, this is another path, this is another path. They say, hey, all these paths are ends with this AS, which is withdraw failures. Okay, they should all be, you know, tried and withdrawn, right? And okay. So why this is happening? Right? So why withdrawal triggers so many messages? So the reason is because, you know, you never know whether you have another path that can reach. Right? For example, if this router is down, okay, right? So basically this directed route, okay, this directed route is down. So you may think it's because you don't know whether it's because of the AS. Let me see. Whether this is because the AS itself is down, right? Here the AS itself down, or because this link is down. Okay. Why? Yeah. Maybe it's this link is down, so I need to try other routes, right? And whenever you try another route, still cannot reach. Maybe this basically, let's see. So maybe you detect, hey, my shortest route originally I take no longer is it, but it could be this link route, right? But now the AS is down, right? Then I will try other routes, and even if this is not workable, I need to continue to try. Maybe this route will reach, right? But actually, it's AS that is down, okay? So this will trigger a lot of announcement, right? So for example, the route failures, because this is no longer. Right, so starting from here, this is one hop, right? So this is the path is just AS 2029. And then I have another path, which is 96 and 29. Okay. So we announce this, but we find, hey, it's faded. Right? And then we announce this, basically because you think this, this is the first on your list, for example. Each AS has a list, right, according to this policy. Let me see, there's a chat. Yeah, we haven't taken attendance, right? So Bonnie, so which part don't you understand? Because I see you have a question you cannot understand what I just mentioned. Okay. You can unmute to let me know. Okay, feel free to do so.
Yeah, I'm just confused. I mean, I don't know if it's that you're going a little faster than I could pick it up or what, but if you go back a couple of slides where you first started, I wasn't catching up.
Yeah, sure. We were talking about this part. Do you still remember, like how to find these routes?
Right there.
Yeah. So you know, you will go down. Yeah, this is BGP protocol. You will maintain a list of paths, right? Path vector, basically, right? Each number is the AS number, if you remember. Okay, right? 2 is AS. Right. And then we want to find if we can reach the first one, we will reach. But maybe 1, 0 is no longer a choice because the 1 will go 3, 0, right? So then we cannot take it. We will take the second one. This is what we covered last time. And then we actually here there's a study that did a 16 months of study on what happens in the internet. Actually, those BGP protocol among AS is happening. And what they do is they inject some BGP faults, okay? And then they have 4 scenarios that we are talking about, right? So one is that you don't have a second, you know, you don't have another ISP that you can reach there. Basically, you are disconnected, right? So if that's the case, this is called a single home, okay? If you have 2, then it's called a multi-home. Is this clear?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, and then if you have another like a multi-home, right? So then you can file over to a WOS path, right? Which is not the one preferred, but you can still get connected. Okay, you need to advertise. So here we are talking about. Let's go through this example. This is really clear, right? So these are the AS number. Okay, the AS path starting from here. The first path will be, if you see the list, the first path will be this path. Okay, just one hop. Okay, right. But this is not working out, right? Because it failed. Right? I don't know whether it's this link is failed or this AS is failed. So I will continue to try to reach it. Right? I will take this path. Right. So this is the AS first AS number on the path is this, which is this one. The second AS number path is this one. Is this clear? Yeah, feel free to let me know if you don't you cannot follow. Okay, I will clarify first. So if that happens, when you reach here, you find, hey, I still cannot reach AS 2129, right? And then I will try another one. I will announce another. So basically, if you have another AS that want to route through me to here, these passes are no longer okay. Right? I want to announce to the others, hey, now you should take the third pass, which is a more even less favor. Right? But this again is unreachable, right? So forth. Then we will try another pass. Right? So, and again, so this is unreachable because AS itself is down. Okay, so then we will also try this one. Right? So, and this is still not working, and then all the different kind of possible passes have been tried, and then we will withdraw this AS. Okay, because this must be the AS is down because all my passes have been enumerated. That's why we will announce so many, right? And when you announce these paths, right? So originally a package come here and packet come here and will deliver, but you start, hey, this is fail, right? So then it will try to deliver through this, right? Which will go here and here. But then you say, hey, no, this is also not okay, right? So you will say, go this way, okay? Then maybe someone's pack come here will go this way. Again, it cannot reach, right? And then I will announce, hey, go this way, which means go here, here, and here, right? And finally, after all the passes, like here, 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 are tried, then I say, hey, I withdraw this AS. You don't even contact this AS because there's no way to reach there. Right? You walk down your list of AS passes, right? From the preferred one to the least preferred one, and announce them, and then say, hey, the AS itself is done. Right, so is this clear? Yeah, feel free to let me know if you cannot understand. Right, so I can clarify further. Yeah, so here's an example, a real log. So previously the total example. Right? So you can have a lot of such an announcement. You can see overall the time, right? So a few minutes. You try all possible passes that can reach that other AS like 999. Then you say, hey, now maybe 999 is not reachable. Okay. So so in their measurements, there can be up to 19 such announcements. Will take time. Right? So from 33 minutes, 34, 35. It takes like 45 minutes just to finally say, hey, this AS is done, okay, which is very slow. And during this process, because this route is still there, you can keep sending stuff there, right? But it will be failure, continuous failure. Okay? And so here's the table about the BGP routing convergence time. Okay, you can see a clear, So firstly, this is the blue and the pink, right? I think it's red. Okay, somehow it's pink here. Right? So this is T up, T short time. They are very similar, right? Because this is the good news. Okay, whether some new link is established or your primary link is recurrent. Okay, and then you have the T long and T down, which are bad news. And T long is better. Okay, T long is better. This is seconds until convergence. This is like 2 minutes to converge. Okay. And this is the distribution. This is called the percentage, right? So which means, for example, if you look at the T failure, which is the worst case, right? So you don't have even the backup, okay? Right, in that case, if you look at after 140 seconds, you have about less than 20% of these cases, right, that you studied actually converge, okay? Like the previous case we see. But, if you want to reach 50%, right? So 50% will actually take maybe 180 seconds, right? So it's almost 3 minutes. Right? It's pretty long. Okay, and this really slow ones can go really long, right? So for example, if you look at here, even for the good news, there's still some data point that can take 3 minutes or more. Okay. Any questions here before I move on? I just want to make sure everyone can follow. Okay, so then here are some key conclusions, right? So less than half of the T-down events converge within 2 minutes, right? So if you look at 2 minutes, it's here, right? Apparently less than 50%, okay? And T up, T short, which are good news, right? form a kind of equivalent class, okay? And T down, T long, they form another equivalent class, right? So these are bad news and good news, basically. And we have a long tail distribution, which means even the most, maybe 80% of the, is 80%, okay? 80% of the good news, like these cases actually converged within maybe 90 seconds. But there can be some that can go really long time, okay? Not converge even after 3 minutes because of the randomness of the internet, okay? And topology, etc. Any questions on this page? But anyway, just keep in mind that bad news travels slow, right? So good news travel fast. Right? So that's the key takeaway message, right? So bad news does not travel fast, right? So here we are talking about bad news, including like a failures. Failures means, you know, it's totally withdrawn, down, okay? And fail over here, we are failed from, there are two ways, right? One is called short long. Short long means you originally have a primary path which is shorter, then because it's failed, you go to a secondary path which is longer. Okay? This will fail over to the second path. And you have good news, right? The long shot fell over. It's a good news. Okay, another is a repair, right? So the repair, the long shot. Another is a T up. Okay, they are all good. So repairs, right, or T up, right, exhibit similar convergence as long shot. So basically, this is a good from the secondary path to the first path. Okay, T up and T shot, they are better. Okay, it is similar convergence. Okay. While the other group is a failure, or you know, you go from short to long. Okay, these two are also similar. Okay, and this second equivalence group is lower than the first equivalence group. Okay, and 80% actually take more than 2 minutes. Right, so this is what we see here. Right? If you take 2 minutes line here, right? So this is a second. Right? So 120 seconds. Okay, it's actually a very small fraction, way less than 80%, way less than 20%. Okay? And the fail over time degrades the greater the degree of multi-forming. So this is, if you remember, previously we think that we are robust. We have multiple ISP serving, right? I connect to multiple ISP. Maybe things will go better, right? So unfortunately, this is not the case, right? So the fail over time actually degrades when you have larger degree of multi-forming. So why this can happen? Who can tell me? Yeah, the answer is you have more paths to try out. If you remember this example, right? You need to try more paths. Right? Okay, so you know, when you try and you have more paths, then you have more announcements, and this will become slower. Okay, and so what's the intuition why this convergence will be delayed, right? So especially for the previous example we show here, why it will keep announcing new passes. Right? So the intuition here is that there exists possible ordering messages, right? So that BGP will explore basically all possible passes of all ES. Right? So here is the example that we tried almost all passes. Okay, if you think about the path along the way, we have n passes, right? The possible permutations of the path would be, you know, n permutation. Okay, right? So this is a really large number. So it could be, you know, could be a complete graph, right? So you can construct such a worst case, right? So that you almost try all the orderings. Okay, so this is really bad. So what would be the impact? So so why do we really care about the routing table convergence? Because once the routing table is decided, then the packets are routed through the routing table, right? So if you have a route that keeps changing, it will, it will negatively impact the routing performance. Okay. So because, for example, maybe this time you take this route, and next time you take that route, right? And then what will happen is that, you know, there's out of the transmission. The first packet will take longer. The second packet takes shorter, right? If you have this switch, okay? And if you try different passes, while you are trying those passes, right? your packet is routed along different paths. Okay, and this will cause a lot of unstable performance. And maybe if you remember, we need to, if we do fragmentation, right, and as a destination, we need to assemble them, right? So we need to wait for the slowest one, which may take a very long path, right, and totally out of order. Okay, so this is why this is undesirable. And so the ICMP results show that, for those problems that are observed, right, so loss of connectivity, it's totally lost, right, because you are trying different paths, but each path is not reachable. Right? If you look at all these paths you are trying, and this path may be finally found not reachable. That's why you announce as not so preferred one and even less preferred one, right? And but when routing through them, right? So while you are changing the routes, your packets are keep flowing, right? And then these are unreachable, unreachable, unreachable until hopefully you will find a path. Okay, so this will cause a lot of problem, right? So like temporary loss of protection, right? So and so because the routes are changing, maybe the early packet is going through a longer one, right? You felt a long shortcut over. Then the next packet actually goes to, a shorter link. I mean short long. The first is going in short links. Anyway, it will be out of order, right? So the first you send, but it travels longer. The second it travels shorter. Okay, and then this arrive first, and you need to wait for the earlier one to order them and deliver to the application. Right. So there could be packet reordering, which is really bad. Okay, and that could be, packet loss because when you send, when it's changing route and reachable routes, these will be lost. Okay, and there will be a lot of latency because when you reorder, right, so you have some slow routes that you are taking, and that will delay the time you get the complete message and send to the application. Okay? And the average after fault, on average, these things can happen for 3 to 5 minutes, which is pretty long. Right? So it's like if you have a AS like near your home that is down, which you rely on, but then you can disconnect to the internet, or like you cannot go to Google for 5 minutes. This is really bad. Okay? So why this can happen? Here, this is 3 reasons. I already explained most of them. Right? So routers will drop packet when the next update. Right? So if you are taking some routes, but this is reachable, this AS down, so this AS border router will not deliver. Okay, the packet is lost. And then you will rely on like TCP protocol we will discuss later to time out and then retransmit to another one. Okay, so this will cause some problem, latency. Okay. Another is that the path switching spikes latency delay. Right? So because maybe this one originally you have a very long path you take to here, right? Then you have another primary path fixed, the second packet you immediately reach here. So this is received first, but you cannot use it until you reach this, right? Because for example, for TCP, we need to guarantee whatever you send first is received first. If you receive this first, you have a sliding window for TCP, and to keep the window, wait for earlier packets to come. Okay. This will cause latency and delay. Another is this is actually all the kind of similar, right? So you can take different passes during the process. This will cause the message to be reordered. Any question on this? Yeah, again, here are both basically conceptual. They are also do this through experiments on the internet. Okay, so you don't have to, there's no mathematics or algorithm there, like in OSPF and RIP. Okay. So, but you need to understand those concepts. So in real life, actually, it's not so bad because we are discussing the worst case BGP behavior. In practice, BGP protocol prevents the worst case from happening. There are some mechanisms like a BGP timer, right? You provide a timely synchronization. For example, if you find, hey, some AS neighbor is down, right? So you will just mark it as down. Okay, you will not try different passes a lot of times. Okay, so it limits possible ordering messages. Right? So there are some restrictions avoid you from announcing and from those bad habits, from those bad behaviors to happen. Okay. But in the worst case, it can happen. Right? So these studies are real, basically, which means it can take 3 to 5 minutes for you to recover a path if some older path is done. Right, so this is a BGP protocol. We have another slide. I think I will, I'm not sure whether I upload this slide. I will update the canvas with this slide. So the previous slide, we told you that BGP is not so perfect, right? So there has been recent efforts to improve BGP. So basically, BGP version 4 is for IPv4, right? So it's the only inter-domain routing protocol currently in use, right? We told you that we have so many AS, right? They need to speak the same language. Unlike within an AS, intra-domain routing, you can use different protocols. But inter-domain routing between AS, you have to use BGP. Okay, it's the version 4 of the BGP right now. It's active. Okay? But there are a lot of issues, right? So firstly, there's a lack of security. Okay, basically, whenever you have changed your route, because some other people will take your route to the destination, right? So you need to announce a lot of things, advertise a lot of things to others. Okay, right? Basically, any small change, right? Something is done. Basically, the whole world are aware of that. Okay, and it can be easily misconfigured. You just think about those passes, right? The preferred one, second preferred one. If you kind of misconfigure that, it causes unstableness and it causes a lot of problems in the routing. And there's also poorly understood interaction between local policies, right? If you are all using shorter path first, it will converge. But if you different AS have different policies when routing, right? So then that's where divergence happens, okay? Which also means it's a poor convergence, right? And then also lack of property information hiding. This is talking about the same thing, right? Lack of security. Basically, whenever there's some small change of the route, you need to announce to everyone else needs to be aware of that, okay? And again, this non-determinism is what we covered earlier, right? So in certain scenarios, maybe if you, like the AS behave in this order, it will converge. In that order, it will diverge. This is a non-deterministic process, okay? And if your, communication overloaded, okay, the behavior will be very bad. Okay? We do need to over deploy the results. So the BGP doesn't do a good job if you kind of overload the BGP protocol, right? Because maybe it becomes a long path instead of a short path. Then there will be frustration, oscillation between the paths. Okay? So here, the thing is that basically each service provider, right, each AS, they have their own policy, and this is a commercial secret. Okay, I can announce, hey, I want to take this route to the other AS, but I will not tell you why I'm taking that. Right? For you, maybe say, hey, this is better. Okay, but because this is my commercial secret, I will not tell you why I'm taking that. So, so you don't want to tell anyone why I'm taking this. Okay, even this is short, I'm taking it. Maybe because this AS is my competitor. Okay, even though geographically it's close. And another thing is that even I don't tell why I'm taking this one rather than this one, right? But I do need to disclose to others, I'm taking this one, okay? People can route from me to here because it's a path-based protocol. Other people can see the path. There's a security concern. So the BGP does a policy entirely through local filtering, right? So basically, you first have the route AS numbers, the different paths, and then we have a local policy that only I know, right? For example, right? So only this current AS. And then I say, hey, this path is not okay, this path is okay, this path is not okay, this path is not okay. Right? And this should be before this. Right? And then I give this set of passes. Okay. So this is a local filtering. However, actually, you do need the detailed path information to set a useful range of policies, right? So, but path information, it can reveals information about routing adjacencies. You want to route as soon as possible to the destination, but you need some path information that you can get. If I say, hey, I can take this path, but I don't tell you I have this path I can take, but I don't like it, right? Then probably you will never take. This is filtered, basically. Okay. So another thing is, does policy hiding really works, right? Even though I don't tell others I hide the policy, right? Does it really work? I can hide all my policy. this is actually not, right? So it's practical hide many private peering relationships, right? If you are peering with each other, right, you don't really need to tell why I'm taking this route. But if you have the customer provider, which means the money generating process, right, then you cannot really hide it, because so you cannot hide those kind of money generating, because, for example, you are here, you are a customer, you go to your provider, the provider need to go to here, they need to go to their provider, right, and then go here. So this path should be advertised, so other people know you are taking this path. This information actually is not private anyway. It cannot be protected anyway. Okay. And actually, if you look at those route view and RIPE, these are those software, the tools that you can look at the BGP, connections, right? So if you look there, actually 95 of the visible peering links actually function as a customer provider links. Right? So they actually look like money generating links. Okay. So what this means is basically so there's some problem with this previously we mentioned, the local filtering, right? So in doing policy entirely just by local filtering is actually the cost of the BGP volumes, including the divergence. Right? Everyone has its own preference, but you never know what's happening there, why they are taking this suboptimal path. Okay. So, and maybe the AS itself misconfigured, right? So it's prone to misconfiguration, and this will also, makes the situation really bad. Right? So because it causes divergence to other AS. Okay. And so there's no semantic describing why a route is used. Right? It's hard to discover errors and tags because I hold this preference list as my own secret. Okay. And there's no information about alternative routes because I filtered it out. Right? I say this path is not even viable, and it's not even on my list. Right? So then BGP must do a lengthy path exploration to find feasible alternatives. Right? You just look at those unfiltered paths, just like what we see before. There's a bunch of announcements in order to either finally, like I say, it's withdrawn, the AS is withdrawn, or you reach another longer path that is working. Okay. And so there's also no information about which alternative will work for whom, which means maybe if you remember, for some of the, when you are doing peering, for some you want to announce certain paths. For other peer, you want to announce other paths. You don't want to announce all the paths to everyone. Okay, but you cannot, with BGP, you cannot do that. Right? So you basically announce whatever you change, new paths you announce to everyone. Right? But why you are making this change? Right? Why I prefer this new path? It's never known. Okay. And the problem with this is that, any small change in one part of the world, right, so will be a globally visible, right? You need to announce this to everyone, and everyone knows, hey, now I route through you, I should take that particular path, not this path. Okay. So this actually motivates people to use a new routing framework called it's a hybrid link state and path vector. Okay, so we will see this. Okay. So link state within, if link state like OSPF is really desirable because even though you don't hide anything, you see all the shortest path tree, right? And then you can route through the shortest path, right? So this is really nice, but you cannot have too much control over it, right? So I don't want to route through a particular AS. You cannot do that, right? So, but you think about it, if you're, so let's look at here, okay? So remember, most links function as customer provider links, right? We described. You cannot hide these links anyway, right? So why not just treat them as in our intra AS case, right? So these intra AS links, you are also knowing them, right? So basically, everyone knows these vertical links. We will see that shortly. Okay. So let's look at it. Right. These vertical links, customer provider links, are known anyway. Okay. Whenever there's a change, you need to advertise to everyone. Okay, but these peering links can be secret, right? So you really don't need to tell, right? So you just route directly, right? You don't need to tell why I'm routing through this, why I'm directly sending here. You don't need to tell people, right? Why I'm not doing this. Okay. So now that customer provider links, there's not much security anyway. So then we just make them visible to the world anyway. Right? So additionally, additional semantic visible should allow more informed route calculation, because now you know these routes, right? Just like in OSPF, then you can easily calculate which one is closer. Okay, you can save a lot of unnecessary and misconfigured preference. Okay, and it also permits better information hiding, because you can hide those pure links. Okay, and so it seems logical to design a routing protocol that uses information explicitly. So you can use a customer link anyway. Okay, so then that motivates this kind of hierarchical idea where within each localized customer provider hierarchy, right? It's like OSPF, okay? Because these orange edges cannot be hidden anyway. So you just treat it as the efficient link state protocol, okay? Similar to here, similar to here. But between those triangles, between those hierarchies, okay, between those, we can think about a group of AS, okay? We kind of run the, pass vector protocol, okay? That's kind of very similar to if you think a triangle is an AS, right? The border gateway, right? And then these gray edges are doing this kind of, doing the BGP, but internally we are doing OSPF kind of thing, right? So you can treat it like this. Okay? So here's the idea, right? So multi-routing hierarchy, right? So within the hierarchy, within this triangle, there's no need to hide any policy information, just to run the OSPF. Everyone knows the path anyway. Okay. So, and more information is easier to take a robust decision. Right? So we want to just use the shortest path. Okay. Because you paid each other anyway, so there's no reason that you don't want to use a particular AS, right? You already paid the service. Okay. So then you can treat it like an OSPF kind of protocol. On the other hand, for those peering relations, right? So you want to hide the policy information. Right? You don't want to send everything to the other side. Okay, and there's no need to export low-level path change. Like here, if I take the change, you don't need to advertise it. Once you reach here, you will follow the short path, like in OSPF to destination. This will reduce a lot of the announcement, the path length that you see. Okay. So here the idea is to use different routing protocols for inside the triangle, right, and outside the triangle hierarchy. Right? So here basically we are doing, so the orange edges, right? So we are using the link state protocol, right? So like the OSPF. Right? And then for these gray edges for the horizontal edges, we are doing the path vector. And so this is the intuition, but I don't think we can finish this today. So let me take a quick attendance, really quick attendance, and then we will end. And if you have a question, you don't understand something we discussed, just let me know. Okay. I can clarify. So each list we will just randomly sample 5 names. Okay. Prince Banga.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Michael Danicola.
Here.
Okay. Rachel. I think I see Rachel earlier. So, yeah. Because I see you earlier, so I will just leave it here. But I didn't see you answer. If you are there, just do a chat. Okay. Trina Ling, right here. Trina Ling. No. Nicholas, are you here?
I'm here.
Okay. Trina Ling, if you are here, just let me know. Okay. Also 5 people here. Onjara, are you here? Onjara, I see a chat. Onjara, you are not here. Sai, Sai Ganesh,
Yeah, I'm here, sir.
Trey Nelson. Trey Nelson.
Here.
Okay. Let's see.
Here.
Okay, got it. I think on the right also here. Guavia.
Present, sir.
Okay. Joshua Taylor. Joshua Taylor, are you here?
I'm here.
Okay, so that's all for today. I will be here for 1 more minute. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Okay. Not that's the end of this class. Thank you.
Trina Lynn was here.
Trina Lynn. Okay, let me.
I think it's Trina, but yeah.
Trina. Right, okay. Trina Lynn. Trina Lynn, you're here. Let me see what it's in chat. Okay, I see. All right, so it's fixed. Okay, you're welcome, and have a nice day. If you are not clear what we just discussed, feel free to ask. Okay. Again, this is really high level, okay, conceptual, right? So we are not doing any detailed calculation. Okay, I do not see any questions. In that case, I will see you on Wednesday and have a good day. I will upload the slides and also the video today. Thank you. The student asked, no, Bianca, I didn't call you. Okay. Yeah, okay. Have a nice day then.